I think we have someone else. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here. Sure. Anytime. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our special event tonight. I'm Tom Hogan, the director of the Milwaukie Poetry Series, and I want to say thank you for being here. There are so many things that we have that make demands on our time, and we've chosen to come out and celebrate with us and share some poetry, so thank you. I say the same thing and want to welcome those of you that are on the live stream. So thank you for logging in, and the same thing. Thank you for taking the time with all the demands that you have in daily life and everything that goes on to log in and have some time and spend an evening celebrating. Because February is celebrating Black History Month. That's what we're doing tonight. We are celebrating Black History Month. And I'm underlining the words celebrate. So we have two great poets that I'm going to introduce shortly, and then we're going to have an open mic. So we'll have an opportunity for those of you who want to read one or two poems to sign up on the list over here. And we already have some names on it. I think we have 5 so far. But if you want to read a poem or two, please sign up. That's what it's for. And I should mention refreshments. Many of you have seen the refreshments. But if you haven't seen the refreshments, they're over there. Yeah, you're eating some. That's what they're for. So I will say that. Please help yourself. Emmett and Chris have books available for sale. So after the reading, if you want to see them and get some of their books, that would be great. Let me make some thanks. A lot of people to thank, as usual. So I want to thank the City of Milwaukie because we have been supported by the City of Milwaukie from the very beginning of this. This is our 19th season, so they have been just terrific. We want to thank the Letting Library. We started out and we were at the Pond House, which was over on the other side of the pond, and it was a great venue. Sad when we had to move here, but understood that a new library was going to be built. And so that's where we worked quite a while to have this library. So this library fits on the footprint a little better than the old 2-story library. So we'd like to have more parking out front, but we do have 20 slots, which was good to squeeze that out. So a big thanks to the Letting Library. So they are absolutely great. They allow us, they actually close at 7. So they have some staff who stay and let us be able to do this. So that's great. I want to thank the Milwaukie Poetry Series Committee. We have a committee, and my lovely wife Jane is on it. A couple of our board members are not here yet, but thanks to the Milwaukie Poetry Series Committee, because you don't have something happen unless you have people working on it. So that's what we do. Anybody who wants to volunteer their time, please see me, and we'll be very happy to have anyone who would like to be involved. And finally, I want to thank the Willamette Falls Media and our chief technician back here. We call him the magician, Josh Reynolds back here. He deserves that hand. He had a fast setup tonight, and he came in, he set up, we're ready to go. I asked him about five minutes ago, or maybe 10, are we ready to go? He says, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, so we're ready. And we are recording the event. It's going to be on the Letting Library YouTube channel, so look for that in about a week. Another thing to say about a couple of future events, we are doing the bilingual reading, which is a co-host with the Almutanabe Street Starts Here Coalition. And that's going to be March 8th, Sunday, 3 to 5 here in the same room. Our reader for March is Cindy Williams Gutierrez, and she's going to be here on March 11th, which is the second Wednesday of the month. So we've been scheduling readings the same day ever since we started, which was the second Wednesday of the month. So let me introduce our poets tonight. And Christopher's going to read first, then Emmett's going to read, then we have an open mic, and then we're going to end, Emmett's going to end the event with a poem tonight. So when we get to that point, and we've gone through the open mics, that Emmett is going to end the event for us. Christopher Luna is a poet, editor, teacher, writing coach, and artist who served as the inaugural poet laureate of Clark County, Washington, from 2013 to 2017. Christopher and Morgan Page co-host the anti-fascist LGBTQ plus friendly, all ages, and uncensored Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic, founded by Christopher in 2004. Christopher's books include Velocity, Exchanging Wisdom, a guide for parents of the autonomous, with Angelo Luna, and Message from Vessels in a Dream. In 2025, he received a Humanities Washington Award for his contribution to poetry and literature in Southwest Washington. An award, let's give Christopher a hand, an award that is just clearly justified. So would you join me in welcoming our first poet tonight, Christopher Luna?
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I'm here at the request of my good friend Emmett, and it's an honor to read Langston Hughes. It's an honor to be a part of a Black History Month celebration. And because I was also instructed to read some of my own work, what I decided to do is I'll begin with a few poems of my own and then finish up with Langston Hughes. So this first piece is called The Work. The Work is how I refer to my workshops and also my poetry newsletter, which you can find on Substack. It's relevant to anyone who's in this room because it's basically for poets in Portland and Southwest Washington. Occasionally there'll be a Eugene or Springfield event sprinkled in there, and it's always going to be free because its purpose is to help people find poetry readings and workshops and resources for writers in this area, which is a great place to be a poet. So go over there to Substack for The Work. But the work comes from a couple of lines in Allen Ginsberg where he said, well, what then is the work to ease the pain of living? Everything else, drunken dumb show. And that really stayed with me. And I want to call the workshops and so forth the work also to get people to poets to sort of own it and take their work seriously as work. It does help if you see it that way. So that's where the title comes from. The Work for Nikki Giovanni and all seekers and purveyors of truth and beauty. We were talking about all the things poetry can and can't do, the magic it contains, as well as the many inadequacies of our language, its ability to compress, bend, and stretch time, slow down to linger upon a moment's intricate beauty, or rush through a rapid succession of thoughts, ideas, or events in a rapid list, each contained in the length of a line. All the things we can do to improve our lives can also improve our poetry. Pay close attention. Slow down. Think hard. Push through fear. Love more. Celebrate love. Forgive those who have trespassed against you, and don't forget to forgive yourself. And love yourself, too. Hold contradictions gently without any irritable grasping after fact or reason. Feel empathy and compassion. Let go of bitterness and bad ideas. Encourage and celebrate the good ones. Countless revelations to be uncovered, endless discoveries waiting to be born if one persists in doing the work. So I totally forgot about water. Would it be okay with everybody if I grabbed my water? It's right over here. Okay. In need of a new ritual. This river is all periphery, a perspective not accorded to me. Let these particles drift into me, disturbing the most sensitive follicles. Just beyond the entranceways, allergic to the given ways, can I find a way to forgive myself for the time wasted? My willful ignorance a habit as impossible to kick as the taste for sugar. Meet me in the open places, the emptiness between here and elsewhere. Help me forge a new relationship with the ancient injuries I struggle to access. I can almost see you peer back at me from the crone tree, that space a portal to the mystery of me, my inherent negative capability. So I want to say in the line that was in the first poem, the work, holding unto contradiction without any irritable grasping after fact or reason, is from John Keats in a letter about Shakespeare. And in that category of things that, help our poetry and help our lives, this ability that creative folks have to be comfortable in the liminal spaces, to be comfortable with not knowing, I think is something that serves our art and our lives well, that we're able to do that. That doesn't mean that you don't seek answers, but I really think the artist's role is to pose the proper questions. Okay. So I thank Tom for reading that bio. I am proud of the Ghost Town Poetry Open Mic. And before it had that name, we had just the tagline, all ages and uncensored. We still do not have yet to this day, we have not ruined or harmed any children. All the children that have grown up with the series, being in the room with adults reading so-called adult material, are all upstanding citizens. There's not a criminal in the bunch. So we really believe in that. But we also are not kidding about anti-fascist, and we're not kidding about any of the other things on the list. And actually, I gave Tom the short version of the list, because we want the people in the community to know before they show up, if they've never been before, that it's a safe space. Okay. So I wanted to, and I'm really thinking about Langston Hughes here. Like the best poets, Langston Hughes was able to do many different kinds of things and write about many different subjects, but he's in that American tradition that I love so much of poets who are true patriots because they love their country enough to hold its feet to the fire. So this last one of mine, before I move on to the Langston, is me trying to do that. And Nikki Giovanni is in that tradition, and Ferlinghetti and Ginsberg and all these people that we love. So many great poets that are doing that. More recent one, who I really love, Terrence Hayes, great poet who is also saying, hey, we're not exactly measuring up to our stated ideals here, right? So this poem begins with an epigraph from Dennis Smith, another poet doing really well on this subject. Their last book, Bluff, the entire book is about some things I'm sure some of you have been thinking about, like, is poetry worth doing? What does it do? What can it do? How can it help? That's what that entire book is about, and they're very honest about it in there. So, may all goodness arise. Let us not be scared of the work because it's hard. Let us move the mountain because the mountain must move. Dennis Smith, Principles. Chaos, a gang of small-minded bigots, misogynist freedom haters who desire control and destruction and who believe only in greed. They who seek power and care not who or what is obliterated in the process. They do not love their country. They are not here to help. They are counting on our ignorance, our complacency, betting that we'll look the other way as they tear it all down. But we shall not concede nor comply. It is time for all good people to rise, stand, fight. Yeah. So the title, May All Goodness Arise, is a bit of an acrostic for MAGA, but I've heard that they took the G out and put an H in for some reason. I don't pay a lot of attention to their ideology, right? So, but I guess I should find out why they changed it to an H, and then maybe give the poem a different title. But the idea was I was trying to take something that I see as very negative and hostile and flip it and make it positive. So may all goodness arise. I really hope that it does. I really hope that it arises everywhere where it can. Langston Hughes has been very important to me for about as long as I've been interested in poetry. And one of the things that I have in common with Emmett is we both read our poetry with jazz musicians. I've been doing that since about 1992, and I would really recommend it to any of the poets out there because I've learned so much about my own work. It's good to learn how to play well with others. You know, usually it's just like it is right now. You're just, you can have an exchange with the audience, but it's one person talking. So I've learned so much from having to be in conversation with other people, and I like to read poetry fast, so working with musicians has also helped me to slow down a little bit and take my time, ease into it. So anyway, Langston Hughes has this amazing recording that's, when I first found it, it was called The Weary Blues, and Charles Mingus is on it, and a bunch of other great jazz musicians. And so it's one of the things that I listen to that I sort of hold up as how good it can be when poets and jazz musicians work together. And if you haven't heard Langston Hughes' voice, please go, get thee to YouTube after the reading tonight to hear how smooth and beautiful this man's voice was. So I'm going to do my best to do it justice. What I decided to do, because I was asked for 5 poems, was from Langston Hughes, is a handful of short ones and then a longer one to finish up. So the first one is called Evil. Looks like what drives me crazy don't have no effect on you, but I'm going to keep on at it till it drives you crazy too. And a poem about, it's titled Frederick Douglass, 1817 to 1895. Douglass was someone who, had he walked with wary foot and frightened tread, from very indecision might be dead, might have lost his soul, but instead decided to be bold and capture every street on which he set his feet, to route each path toward freedom's goal, to make each highway choose his compass's choice. To all the world cried, hear my voice. Oh, to be a beast, a bird, anything but a slave, he said. Who would free themselves must strike the first blow, he said. He died in 1895. He is not dead. I thought that was beautiful. Dare. Let darkness gather up its roses, cupping softness in the hand, till the hard fist of sunshine dares the dark to stand. Poet to bigot. I have done so little for you, and you have done so little for me, that we have good reason never to agree. I, however, have such meager power, clutching at a moment while you control an hour. But your hour is a stone. My moment is a flower. I thought that was great. That's a great poem, isn't it? Yeah, and even you can't even say the last line without getting emotional. It's how beautiful it is. Yeah, that's the first 4. And then, as I said, the last one is longer. And this is a thing because I lead writing workshops also that I think about a lot as someone who respects political poetry. One of the reasons I respect it so much is how hard it is to do. Like, there are poems that are very well intentioned, and even if you say agree with the sentiment of the poem 1,000%, it can still be really boring, really bad poetry. So when I think about people who did this well, Langston Hughes is definitely one of those people. But I mention all that because this is one of those poems where I think it was written sometime in the 30s, but it could have been written today, yesterday, right? Except for 1 or 2 words. Everything else pretty much could have been today. Let America be America again, by Langston Hughes. Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dream the dreamers dreamed. Let it be that great strong land of love, where never kings connive, nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wreath, but opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog, of mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, of grab the land, of grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bondsman to the soil. I am the worker, sold to the machine. I am the Negro, servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, mean, hungry yet today, despite the dream. Beaten yet today, oh pioneers, I am the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker, bartered through the years. Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned, that's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. For I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand, I came to build a homeland of the free. The free? Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today? The millions shot down when we strike? The millions who have nothing for our pay? For all the dreams we've dreamed and all the songs we've sung and all the hopes we've held and all the flags we've hung? The millions who have nothing for our pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be, the land where every man is free, the land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me, who made America, whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. From those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take back our land again, America. Oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain. All the stretch of these great green states, and make America again. Langston Hughes. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I kept sitting there saying, wow, wow. Thank you for picking that poem. Thank you for reading it so well, too. Wow. Well, our second poet tonight is Emmett Wheatfall. And Emmett and I have known each other over 14 years. Yeah, maybe longer than that. Emmett is an American poet an Oregon Poet Laureate nominee and recipient of the prestigious Oregon Poetry Association Patricia Ruth Banta Award. His poetry has been published in several books, collections, anthologies, and one of them, As Clear as a Bone, was a 2019 Eric Hoffer Award finalist and a Da Vinci Eye Award finalist. Emmett has keynoted 2 Oregon Poetry Association conferences. In 2020, Corban University produced a 9-part series documentary that highlights Emmett's early life and poetry. Emmett Wheatfall is one of Oregon's premier poets. He's with us tonight. Would you join me in welcoming our next poet celebrating Black History Month, Emmett Wheatfall. Thank you.
The Negro Speaks Rivers by Langston Hughes. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like rivers. Langston Hughes. Look, you can clap, you can pop your fingers, you can do all those kinds of things. We appreciate that feedback. I want to begin by thanking you for coming out this evening to celebrate Black history, but really to celebrate us, we who are here in America. I have a saying that says that the Negro story is America's story. It is our story. What is it? E plumus unum? I never get the middle part right. Yeah, but out of many, one. And isn't it beautiful this evening as we look at our diversity, and out of that diversity, we're one? But I think we need to really recall the fact that that the Negro story is part of America's story. I want to thank the Milwaukie Poetry Series for hosting Black Celebration Month, especially around poetry. The influence of the Negro, yes. Negro poets are storied. Many people don't know it, but one of the first African slaves was Phyllis Wheatley, a woman of great aptitude, and she was published. It was astonishing to the colonials that she had that kind of ability, but our history is storied, and I want to thank the advisory board for just getting this on the schedule for the Milwaukie Poetry Series. And I want to talk a little bit about Christopher Luna. His lovely wife, Toni, is here. The reason why I asked him because of his work over the years. This man has been an incredible, he's a Clark County Poet Laureate. What's that word, emeritus? Emerita, which one is it? Emeritus, yeah. I've learned a lot from Tom over the years and others. But the work that he and his wife have done over in the Vancouver area has been absolutely, they have literally birthed poets who would never get up in front of people, and they've coached them and trained them. He's a layman scholar in poetry. And one of the reasons why I asked him to feature with me is because, and I'm so grateful that Tom and the advisory board was open to that, is because a lot of people don't realize that when Langston Hughes was born in 1901. There's some debate if it was 1901 or 1902, but 1901. So that make him about 125 years that we'll be celebrating him this year. As a young man, he had a tough time. His father wasn't there very long. He traveled different parts of the world, Europe, the continent of Africa, I think Ireland too, I think to some of those areas as well. So there was a lot of influence, external influence that influenced him. It was a tough time. At that particular time, we have come out of emancipation. America's gone through the Reconstruction era. And then we go into the Jim Crow era. And so really about the time that Langston came into prominence was during the Jim Crow era. And finding work in the South after slavery was very difficult for the Negro. And many Negroes migrated northward. And many of them wound up in like areas like New York because they could find work, they could find labor there. And during that particular time is when there was this enormous explosion among the Negro in terms of art, literature, theater, dance, music, blues, jazz. And Langston Hughes found himself right smack dab in the middle of that particular time. Harlem, oh my goodness, jumping, the music, the clubs, the crime. But Langston was revered. He was revered, but there was a problem because Langston's poetry is the ordinary, the common person's poetry. And so some in the elite circles among Negroes, they didn't like it because they felt like his work talked negatively about the Negro, where in the white literary world, he was absolutely revered and loved. But Langston Hughes persevered. And as a result of his perseverance, we have the benefit of his work today. Some of the poems I'm reading this evening are from his first collection called The Weary Blues. I think it was 1926 when it was actually published, and it was really well received. Some of you may not know this. Some of you were there a couple of weeks ago. We put on a big show at the Alberta Abbey where we did the Weary Blues combined with jazz music. Unfortunately, we won't be able to do that tonight, but Christopher was right. If you go out to YouTube, you can actually see his work. So I want to move on because I know we have other people who want to read an open mic. So glad you're here to do that. You honor me, you honor my heritage, you honor America. So let me continue. The Weary Blues. The Weary Blues. Droning a drowsy, syncopated tune, rocking back and forth to a mellow croon, I heard a Negro play down on Lenox Avenue the other night by the pale, dull parlor of an old gaslight. He did a lazy sway. He did a lazy sway. To the tune, oh, those weary blues, with his ebony hands on each ivory key. He made that poor piano moan with melody. Oh, blues, swaying to and fro on his rickety stool. He played that sad, raggedy tune like a musical fool. Sweet blues coming from a black man's soul. Oh, blues in a deep song voice with a melancholy tone. I heard that Negro sing, that old piano moan. Ain't got nobody in all this world. Ain't got nobody but myself. I gets to quit my frowning and put my troubles on the shelf. Thump, thump, thump went his foot on the floor. He played a few chords, then he sang some more. I got the weary blues, and I can't be satisfied. Got the weary blues, and can't be satisfied. I ain't happy no more, and I wish that I had died. And far into the night, he crooned that tune. The stars went out, and so did the moon. The singer stopped playing and went to bed, while the weary blues echoed through his head. He slept like a rock or a man that's dead. The weary blues. Langston Hughes. Here's a fun piece written by Langston Hughes, and we were fortunate a couple of weeks ago for a show at the Alberta Abbey. Sold out. There was 400 people there. A balcony was full. We just couldn't believe that people came out to hear poetry, but they came out, and it was. We're thinking about maybe reprising it again. So there's been a big demand for it. I don't know if you ever heard this poem by Langston Hughes. It's called Aunt Sue's Stories. Aunt Sue's Stories. Aunt Sue has a head full of stories. Aunt Sue has a whole heart full of stories. Summer nights on the front porch, Aunt Sue cuddles a brown-faced child to her bosom and tells him stories. Black slaves working in the hot sun, and black slaves walking in the dewy night, and black slaves singing sorrow songs on the banks of a mighty river, mingle themselves softly in the flow of old Aunt Sue's voice, mingle themselves softly in the dark shadows that cross and recross Aunt Sue's stories. And the dark-faced child listening knows that Aunt Sue's stories are real stories. He knows that Aunt Sue never got her stories out of any book at all, but that they came right out of her own life. And the dark-faced child is quiet of a summer night listening to Aunt Sue's story. Langston Hughes. Our land. Our land, Sue. We should have a land of sun, of gorgeous sun, and a land of fragrant water, where the twilight is soft banana handkerchief of rose and gold, and not this land where life is cold. We should have a land of trees, of tall, thick trees, bowed down with chattering parrots, brilliant as the day, and not this land where birds are gray. We should have a land of joy, of love and joy and wine and song, and not this land where joy is wrong. Our land. One more poem by Langston Hughes, and just share a couple of my own poems. Appreciate you folks. Thank you so much. My mom raised me to say thank you. She's no longer with us, but if I didn't say thank you tonight, she was getting up. She'd get up and say, "Did you tell them people thank you?" One more Langston Hughes and just a couple more, and I'll take my seat. I want to make sure that we've got some folks going to read some phenomenal poems tonight celebrating Black history. Everybody doing good? Yeah. You enjoying yourself? Yeah. This poem right here, I believe, to me, is his greatest poem. I think people might argue with me over it, but to me, it is his seminal piece. Very famous. It's called I Too. I Too. And I think that it speaks, I think it's as much true today, Chris, as it was back when he wrote it. And I love reading it. It's required reading out loud for me. I Too, by Langston Hughes. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. But I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll sit at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, "Eat in the kitchen then." Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. Langston Hughes. I just think that is so true today. You know, given what's happening right now in our country, there's been this kind of evisceration of Black history, of Black art, Black culture, Black literature, Black music. And so I think that this poem is really true today. Two more poems, if you will indulge me, just two more poems. I think I'll do it this way. This is my poem. Black History Month. Black History Month. Nowadays, most of us look for things of lesser value. A quarter for our tin can. $1 from a driver stopped at a freeway off-ramp. The fish sandwiches from McDonald's nearby. Instead, most of us get eye contact, then a look away. A shout exhorting to get a job. How about that visit from the coffee shop manager saying, "You've been in here too long, you need to leave"? Today, I sip tea from a teacup and pontificate about things I have never had to experience. It's the start of Black History Month today. We Black people have traveled a long way. Let us not forget the poor, destitute, and homeless. We too have appreciated things of lesser value. Black History Month. I love this poem. It's called An Unremarkable Negro. An Unremarkable Negro. To the Negro, history has not been kind. If this Negro's history is his story, follow the line that precedes me. Follow that unimaginable journey from humanity to inhumanity, from dignity to indignity. And yet, from the grave, Langston Hughes shouts, "I too am America." From the grave, James Baldwin shouts, "I am not your Negro." From the grave, Maya Angelou shouts, "Still I rise." While I, an unremarkable Negro, a Negro of continuing origin, a Negro following the line that precedes me, to whom history has not been kind. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. Wow again. Yeah. Let's give Emmett and Christopher another hand, can we? Yeah. Oh, okay. Would you like to bring over the sign-up sheet? For the sign-up sheet for the open mic. So we're going to move into the open mic. And I know our first reader is Lex Runciman. And then we have Nate Courtney, Bob Sterry, me, Susanna Lundgren, Brett K., Judith P. Is there anybody who did not sign up who would like to read? So, my lovely wife Jane. All right, you were down there after Judith P. Terrific. So we're reading two poems on this rotation, and we'll see where we are. Well, that's probably going to be it for tonight, time-wise. So 2 poems, and let's welcome our first poet tonight, Lex Runciman.
Well, I hadn't planned on it doing exactly what I'm going to do now, but it seems appropriate. Langston Hughes, one of the big things about the poetry of his generation, and it starts with Phyllis Wheatley, is the notion of education and literacy and being taught how to read and finding reading as a kind of opening to a culture which would have seemed really foreign to most people when they got wrenched out of their original lives and suffered the Middle Passage and ended up where they ended up. And so the first poem I want to read is by Langston Hughes. It's called Theme for English B. I think I must have taught some version of English B for about 20 years. If you went to college or university, you would have known it perhaps as first year English, freshman English. Theme for English B. The instructor said, "Go home and write a page tonight and let that page come out of you. Then it will be true." I wonder if it's that simple. I am 22, colored, born in Winston-Salem. I went to school there, then Durham, then here, to this college on the hill above Harlem. I am the only colored student in my class. The steps from the hill lead down into Harlem, through a park. Then I cross St. Nicholas, 8th Avenue, 7th, and I come to the Y, the Harlem Branch Y, where I take the elevator up to my room, sit down, and write this page. It's not easy to know what is true for you or me at 22, my age. But I guess I'm what I feel and see and hear. Harlem, I hear you, hear me, we two, you, me, talk on this page. I hear New York, too. Me? Who? Well, I like to eat, sleep, drink, and be in love. I like a pipe for a Christmas present, or records, Bessie, Bop, or Bach. I guess being colored doesn't make me not like the same things other folks like who are other races. So will my page be colored that I write? Being me, it will not be white, but it will be a part of you instructor. You are white, yet a part of me as I am a part of you. That's American. Sometimes perhaps you don't want to be a part of me, nor do I often want to be a part of you. But we are, that's true. As I learn from you, I guess you learn from me, although you're older and white and somewhat more free. This is my page for English B. And I want to read another poem by a guy named County Cullen, who almost nobody knows. He was born in 1890 in Jamaica, and he died in 1948. So what's interesting to me about that, amongst many other things, is that he was a direct contemporary of Edna St. Vincent Millay. Edna St. Vincent Millay was the first rock star poet in America. She sold out theaters all across the East Coast and then made a bunch of tours and got rich, essentially, by being a touring poet. And she's perhaps most famous then and today for her sonnets. Strictly constructed, 14 lines, end rhymes, specific patterning of syllables and stresses. And so the poem I'm going to read is by County Cullen. It's an absolute strict sonnet. It includes, and I think this is brilliant, it includes mention of Greek stories that probably not even half the educated white population in America would have known about. And so it's a little bit like, see, I know this stuff. I can be smart. I am smart. Do you know who Tantalus was? Well, some people would and some wouldn't. Do you know who Sisyphus was? That's more frequent, Sisyphus, who was punished by the gods by being forced to push a rock up a hill, and every time it got close to the top, the rock would roll back down. This is a sad and probably too frequent metaphor for some parts of modern life. But Tantalus was punished by being forced to stand in shallow water and above him have a tree full of ripe fruit. But when he bent down to try and get a drink, the water would recede. And when he reached up to get the fruit would rise. So he was thirsty, but he couldn't drink, and he was hungry, but he couldn't eat. Yeah. This is called Yet Do I Marvel. I doubt not God is good, well-meaning, kind, and did he stoop to quibble, could tell why the little buried mole continues blind, why flesh that mirrors him must someday die. Make plain the reason tortured Tantalus is baited by the fickle fruit. Declare if merely brute caprice dooms Sisyphus to struggle up a never-ending stair. Inscrutable his ways are, and immune to catechism by a mind too strewn with petty cares to slightly understand what awful brain compels his awful hand. Yet do I marvel at this curious thing, to make a poet black and bid him sing.
We've got Nate, Bob, me, and Susanna.
Mason Hughes is popular tonight because I'm going to read a couple of his poems tonight. So, this first one is called Elevator Boy. I got a job now, running an elevator in the Denizen Hotel in Jersey. Job ain't no good, though. No money around. Jobs are just chances, like everything else. Maybe a little luck now, maybe not. Maybe a good job sometimes. Step out of the barrel, boy. 2 new suits and a woman to sleep with. Maybe no luck for a long time. Only the elevators going up and down, or somebody else's shoes to shine, or greasy pots in a dirty kitchen. I've been running this elevator too long. Guess I'll quit now. Kind of feels like a lot of people nowadays are experiencing that regardless of their racial background. So, but yeah. And this next one deals with a very tough subject, but it's still a very ugly part of American history. Song for a Dark Girl. Way down south in Dixie, break the heart of me. They hung my black young lover to a crossroads tree. Way down south in Dixie, bruised body, high in air. I asked the white Lord Jesus, what was the use of prayer? Way down south in Dixie, break the heart of me. Love is a naked shadow on a gnarled and naked tree.
Thank you, Tom. I was intrigued by your mention of Tantalus, Lex. The first time I heard of it, it was a description of a device which was prevalent in upper crust houses, which held the drinks. And to prevent the servants from drinking out of the decanter, there was this lock which prevented that, and it was called a Tantalus. So I'm going to read 2 pieces. They're not actually poems, but I guess I could, with a bit of effort, turn them into poetry. The first one is called Remote Outrage. I went to the Black Lives Matter rally in a park in our town one Tuesday night. There were speakers of all ages addressing a crowd of 300 or 400. There was enthusiastic and noisy support for the spoken word. When the speeches were done, we lined the sidewalks of the highway that passes to the west of the town and shouted and waved signs. And then, once the event was over, I returned to my nice, comfy bourgeois house and poured myself a drink. Until I start a more active and involved plan that might actually add to what appears to be a movement in the country, my outrage is remote and useless. It shames me to say this, but I already knew of the level of injustice African American and other minorities suffer day to day. I already knew and was thinking, surely someone else with more power, with better words and networks could do the job that obviously needs doing. I already knew, and since I am nothing if not an average white man, I guess most, if not all, of the white folk at last night's meeting had thought the same. And if that is true, then nationwide we number in the millions. We are all remotely outraged and desperate to know what to do. It is not easy, not going to be easy, to reverse the accumulated injustice of hundreds of years that white power and privilege has heaped upon African Americans, Hispanics, Chinese, and other Asian minorities. The scars are on both sides. Minorities bear them most painfully in every part of their daily lives, from the day they are born we, the white majority, are lessened by our inactivity, by the far less painful side effects of remote outrage. We should be and could be more, and somehow collectively chose not to. We have chosen, in a way, to be absent. We can blame our leaders, but unless you live in Russia or China, your leaders reflect, albeit at a distance, your wishes. How else can so many racist politicians continue to be in power? And so my first step is to acknowledge all of the truths, all of the uncomfortable truths that I buried and ignored, making me a smaller man. There will be many more steps, many more, but I have to start somewhere. I am racist, and I believe it is up to each and every one of us to admit that we are racist and set out to change. Most white Americans are racist by indifference that is fed by media. We live in our white bubble, which is strongly, powerfully maintained. It is up to us individually to make those incremental steps in our own behavior, which will add up to genuine progress. Add some local leadership for leverage, and change could be faster. There are other causes than this. Other causes that did this. Who would have thought gay marriage would be a right as recently as 20 years ago? I hope I am not underestimating the scope of the change that is needed, but we do have to start somewhere. So I will start by confessing, as I have already done somewhere elsewhere, that I am racist and will continue to be racist for some time. It is my learned response. I was taught it at an early age, and constant reminders from radio, TV, and movies reinforced it over time. It is very hard to deprogram, but not impossible. I am your average white male racist. I don't wave a Confederate flag. I don't attend Klan meetings. I'm not a member of any racist organization. I don't read white supremacy news sheets. I don't do any number of direct racist actions. But my indifference is present, and it feeds the total corrosive indifference of the country. My indifference, together with that of millions of others, forms the atmosphere where other, more virulent and repulsive actors operate. So I am racist, not by intention, by default, by habit. I am determined to change. And I'd like to quote a couple of lines of poetry by the great singer Sam Cooke. I was born by the river in a little tent, and just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change is going to come. Yes, it will. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Bob. The first poem I'm going to read tonight is by a poet, Dudley Randall, and it's Booker T and W.E.B. So, and he's referring to Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois. And they are men who lived in different eras. Booker T. Washington lived in the 19th century, W.E.B. Du Bois in the 20th century. I actually first came across W.E.B. Du Bois years ago. That's back when I was in history. And he had a book, Black Reconstruction. And I didn't get really into it because it wasn't my period. My period was the antebellum Civil War. But the thing I still remember, it was different. It was different. It had a different point of view. And There was some discrediting of that in some of the work I read, which is a historiography about how different historians talk about history and what kind of notions and biases do they have. So here's a poem about their disagreements. They lived in different times, they had different approaches, they had different views about how to deal with their situation. It seems to me, said Booker T., it shows a mighty lot of cheek to study chemistry and Greek when Mr. Charlie needs a hand to hoe the cotton on his land. And when Miss Ann looks for a cook, why stick your nose inside a book? I don't agree, said W.E.B. If I should have the drive to seek knowledge of chemistry or Greek, I'll do it. Charles and Miss can look another place for hand or cook. Some men rejoice in skill of hand, and some in cultivating land. But there are others who maintain the right to cultivate the brain. It seems to me, said Booker T., that all you folks have missed the boat who shout about the right to vote and spend vain days and sleepless nights in uproar over civil rights. Just keep your mouth shut. Do not grouse, but work and save and buy a house. I don't agree, said W.E.B., for what can property avail if dignity and justice fail? Unless you help to make the laws, they'll steal your house with a trumped-up clause. A rope's as tight, a fire's as hot, no matter how much cash you got. Speak soft and try your little plan, but as for me, I'll be a man. It seems to me, said Booker T. I don't agree, said W.E.B. Booker T. and W.E.B. by Dudley Randall. One of the things I love about this is that in the course of doing this and picking poems that we want to read, we read a lot of other poems. And so the scope just goes out. And we look at different things. We get interested in this or that. I'm going to follow up on W.E.B. Du Bois. I never really read Black Reconstruction, so I'm at least going to look into it. The other poem I want to read is 1994 by Lucille Clifton. I was leaving my 58th year, when a thumb of ice stamped itself hard near my heart. You have your own story. You know about the fears, the tears, the scars of disbelief. You know that the saddest lies are the ones we tell ourselves. You know how dangerous it is to be born with breasts. You know how dangerous it is to wear dark skin. I was leaving my 58th year when I woke into the winter of a cold and mortal body. Thin icicles hanging off the one mad nipple, weeping. Have we not been good children? Did we not inherit the earth? But you must know all about this from your own shivering life. 1994, Lucille Clifton. So we have, who next? I think Susanna. Do I have well, I don't have the list here. I think it was Susanna. And somebody picked it up and somewhere, yeah. No, here it is. Somebody, that's what you always say, somebody has it. Yeah, we have Susanna, Brett, and Judith, and my lovely wife, Jane. Okay, let's welcome Susanna Legman.
So my first poem I wrote in December 2022, and I had not been long a widow. And oftentimes my effort has been to meet new people, go to more events, because I always feel alive again. And there's always that thing, maybe some of you have been through the same thing, when you're out there and meeting people, that lost person is found again. Because you feel their presence, you know what they would say, And so it helps on a number of levels. Now, this isn't exactly, straightforwardly, just a black poem, but that is a component of it. And the young man you will meet in the poem was a person of color. And this really struck me. I was coming back from something. It was 5 o'clock, mid-December, and it was a really cold snap that we had at that time. So the title is Heat. It's 5 o'clock. Work is done, shopping over. Everyone is dashing to the nearest Max station or runs to catch a downtown bus home. I've spent my 12-minute wait passing through Tony Gift Shop, Muji. In only half an hour, the temperature outside has dropped from 40 to 20 degrees. Once I'm on Max, there will be heat. On the sidewalk, a young man sits on a thin sheet of cardboard, head bowed, elbows out, braced on upturned knees. As night descends, the darkening gray stains everything: figure, clothing, cardboard. I note the flat quilting of his hoodless jacket. I see a few neat braids, the long, graceful fingers in stoic fold. No gloves. He's taken up his position for the night. Later at home, I wonder, under my new wine-dark electric Christmas blanket, whether the warming center across town or the heat from public discussion of this issue in the next 2 weeks at City Hall will be enough to get him through the night tonight. Heat. So my second poem is by my late husband, Ron Rash. Many of you knew him and were delighted with his company. So many hundreds of poems and so many notebooks that I've just barely begun to go through. But after he had died in June 22, in October with my choir and at our church, I had a wonderful celebration of life, which he would have preferred much to any kind of funeral. And at the time, I put together a handmade, hand-bound chapbook of 50 copies that I could pass out at the event. And this was one of the poems in that book. Oh, and I might add that he was so not racist because he was an artist and curious about everything and everybody, wasn't he, Emmett? And he just immediately connected with everyone, though his manner was very mild and kind of restrained, but then he could come up with a humorous statement just out of nowhere that would just have you on the floor. And so I hope this will help with that as well. And that he liked so many different kinds of artists and musicians and so on. And this one will mention Leonard Cohen, so that will get you ready. The superscript is, each day life becomes more beautiful. And that's a quotation from the architect Frank Lloyd Wright. And our title is After the Storm. This morning, the sun breaks after the windstorm, and while you are dutifully tending social fences on your expressive iPhone, I watch from my window. The blue jays feed on peanuts, arriving, it seems, from nowhere. They flew unseen through the late October thicket of foliage, the dogwood's display of scarlet brushing against the cobalt sky. Between the middle of the colored road of greens, rhododendron, lilac, and misunderstood ivy. I listen to Leonard Cohen wisely chant the answer to the secret of life. Dum, dum, doo-wah, dum, dum. After the storm.
Hi,
I grew up in central Kentucky, and a couple of the poems I'll share are from poets who have a Kentucky connection. One of them is Nikki Finney. She's a poet originally from South Carolina who was teaching at the University of Kentucky some years ago. And this is a poem of hers called Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary. And I think, is it right to say that there's an epigraph? At the very beginning, it says, July 1799, Judge Samuel McDowell in Lexington, Kentucky, set free a slave named Mary, who sued her owner, claiming she was entitled to her freedom. McDowell's order contained verbatim a letter from Mary's owner relinquishing ownership of the slave, saying she wasn't worth the cost of contesting the suit. That's from the Lexington Herald-Leader, the local paper there. All right, so here's the poem, Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary. Wonder who she thought she was. Wonder how it wasn't raped away, a long, winding memory, spoken just as fresh as a constitutional amendment. And here's a quote from Dr. Barbara Field, a historian. The quote is, any slave who made a nuisance of himself to the local authorities later made a figure of himself to the Congress. The poem goes on. Nuisance Mary, contrary Mary, ranking that busy man like that, thought only queens got entitled, thought only royalty could approximate, then declare their net worth on the spot. Wonder who she thought was her kin, skin to eye talking to him like that. Wonder what she knew she was guaranteed. Wonder how she figured up the total sum of her parts and didn't bother with the division. Wonder, wonder, wonderful. That's Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary by Nikki Finney. The other poem I'll read is by an author, a poet, Frank X. Walker, who's from Danville, Kentucky, and central Kentucky. And this is a poem called Million Man March. A sea, an ocean, a flood of tears and hugs, daps and slaps, nappy male love, 1 million caps and crowns and burnt brass faces. Whoever said it was less didn't count noses or wet eyes, didn't hear the black thunder echo or feel the wave of trust that almost launched the Egyptian monument pretending to belong to Washington. It's a new day, black man, and an early Kwanzaa for mothers and babies who search the stars at night, wishing for their sugar, looking for their daddies. 1 million men, no inwards. 1 million men, one soul for real Columbuses, rediscovering themselves, finally being woman enough to give birth to a new idea, new attitudes, a new direction, a new day. If only one sober, solemn, sincere son, brother, cousin, uncle, father, granddaddy, or husband had shown up, it still would have been one magnificent, holy day. But it was much more than that, 1 million times more. That's Million Man March by Frank X. Walker.
Hi there, everyone. Glad to be here. I have read many of James Baldwin's works, his prose, but I was unfamiliar with the fact that he also wrote poetry. Emmett clarified some things for me when he said he's quite the poet. And I've been finding that out in reading this collection, Jimmy's Blues and Other Poems. And as kind of connected here, you mentioned Nikki Finney. She introduces this book of James Baldwin's Jimmy's Blues. So I'm just reading two very short items here. Imagination. Imagination creates the situation, and then the situation creates imagination. It may, of course, be the other way around. Columbus was discovered by what he found. I love that humor. Another one, a little on the dark side, but we'll all be there someday. The darkest hour. The darkest hour is just before the dawn, and that I see, which does not guarantee power to draw the next breath, nor abolish the suspicion that the brightest hour we will ever see occurs just before we cease to be.
Yeah, thank you very much. So is there anyone who hasn't read a poem that would like to read a poem? Oh, my lovely wife Jane. Is there anyone that wants to read after Jane reads? My lovely wife Jane.
Well, I'm a dancer, and I have danced poems, and I'm on releve at the moment. So my master's thesis at Reed College in dance was to create dances to nursery rhymes, and we called it the Nursery Rhyme Suite. And it ended, the last dance, the end of it was ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy, ashes, ashes, all fall down. That was the end of childhood. So I'm going to first chant and dance a piece, and then I will give it in a regular way. I'm not too regular quite a bit of the time.
Is there anybody who hasn't read a poem but would like to read a poem? Okay.
I have a special one for Emmett.
You have a special one for Emmett? Okay. A special one for Emmett, and then Emmett's going to read a poem, and we'll close the event.
Luckily, we have time.
Okay.
So I have a Langston Hughes poem that I used quite a bit in mixed arts classes, and this was one of the literature pieces that really made an impression. And a couple weeks ago, I was at a reading that Emmett was doing, and afterward we were discussing a couple of Langston Hughes works, and I said, well, have you heard of this one? And he said he hadn't, so we'll see if that's true. This was written in 1940 and called The Ballad of the Landlord. And allow me to try to do some voices with it. So not a caricature, but try to give it a little dramatic flair. Landlord, landlord, my roof has sprung a leak. Don't you remember I told you about it way last week? Landlord, landlord, these steps is broken down. When you come up yourself, it's a wonder you don't fall down. $10 you say I owe you, $10 you say is due. Well, that's $10 more and I'll pay you till you fix this house up new. What? You gonna get eviction orders? You gonna cut off my heat? You gonna take my furniture and throw it in the street? Uh-huh, you talking high and mighty, talk on till you get through. You ain't gonna be able to say a word if I land my fist on you. Police, police, come and get this man. He's trying to ruin the government and overturn the land. Copper's whistle, patrol bell, arrest. Precinct station, iron cell. Headlines in press. Man threatens landlord. Tenant held no bail. Judge gives Negro 90 days in county jail. Ballad of the Landlord.
So let's welcome again Emmett, and he's going to say a final poem to end the event.
Just a quick announcement. Bob Sturry and I will be involved in a production together on March 22nd. Bob, do you want to mention that real quick? Smith.
Working on a show to be at Old Classical Radio and then in new studio in the Coin Tower on May 22nd. And I'll be singing some of the songs from there and others, and it was going to read some poetry. And invite you all as far as you like. Tickets are on sale at the event. There is an early bird price. It ends March 16th. So, thank you.
You're welcome. All of us are wounded. Every last one of us in our life have been wounded by something. And we carry that scar. I was just got a prompt one day in my own head, our scarlet blue wounds. Our scarlet blue wounds. And I wrote about it. And I think the thing that heals our wounds is love. It's not hate. It's not vitriol. It's not animus. It's love. And so I wrote a poem called Our Scarlet Blue Wounds. Our scarlet blue wounds. On the heels of something great, I'll take you there. Consider failure the cause celeb it is. Let's build a new world out of clay. Let us hew a stone absent despair from 55-year-old timber. Let us whittle a new age. Let love love whomever it loves. A resolution proffered by the bourgeois isn't necessary. We will secretly build new cities near rivers and deep within valleys. And in the times of fire and flood, we will lift like eagles to arias. Let us bleed red blood everywhere, bearing our scarlet blue wounds. Carrie, let love, love whomever it loves. Nancy Lee, should we mark every soul with a magic marker? Yes. Doing so before we return to the dust that's prepared for us. Tony, may we, the old, die young, and you, the young, live forever. Might we agree to return here again? Let love love whomever it loves. Thank you so much for celebrating Black History together. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you so much. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
So thank you all for being here. There's some refreshments over here. Help yourself. That's what they're for. There's some books over here on the table. So take a look at those. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Everybody. Good. Good.